yeah, I do feel partially / completely responsible, because on multiple occasions people who work at VU have emailed me and said, why didn't you come back? You should come back. Come back. And I've intended to. Every time I said, yeah, sure, I'll be back soon. See you then. And I haven't done it, and look what's happened in my absence. It's done fucked. The ship's sinking. Ship's fucking going, man. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I am immensely buoyant, so if I'd been here at the right time, I could have just laid underneath the ship and would have been fine, you know? Alas, the truth of the matter is I can't swim, and VU's going down. I age and VU dies on precisely the same day, so maybe that means in some way or another it will be born anew into me and be usable as a platform on the internet. I sure hope so, because I enjoy this thing. I think it's great. I don't understand why it failed. I guess it failed. I guess they couldn't find a way to adequately monetize it. I know that it's going to carry on as a commercial product, but goddamn, Steve Spurger, at least make another website that's exactly the same as this one that I can use. For God's sake. And that's all I have to say on that. This isn't true at all. I don't know if you're lying or genuinely mistaken. I just hope that other people have been stalking me to a slightly higher caliber than you've managed to, and can verify at least to themselves that this isn't true. I see where you're coming from with this, but I think most people were just happy that they had a day off, and maybe some people did care about a wedding, but that might just highlight the difference between the countries that I was sort of angling for. We get jolly and clap when somebody marries and you run down the street shouting fuck yeah when some dude with a turban gets shot. I don't really have an answer for this because I'm not really sure how I would answer it, or if it's even a question. I just felt like it was important to recognize it as something worthy of response. I think this is actually the worst thing anybody has ever said to me. Somebody asked me in a thing on here if I'd ever been offended by anything, and I didn't reply to it, but the answer's going to be no. Until now. I'm offended. Fucking mortally. The complex conjugate of A minus BI is A plus BI, fuck you. I'd like to think this isn't true, but it depends entirely upon, not that I'm particularly going to necessarily be his teacher. It's crossed my mind in the past because it has massive holidays. This is a great reason to go into it, and the pay. But the stress, a little bit. So if I taught primary school kids, yes, they would be getting booted across the room very quickly, soon after my arrival. Woo! Splat. I think that's what kids do. I think they splat. So I would have to teach older kids, like college age, and then I probably wouldn't abuse them, but again, that's just a hope really, isn't it? In the summer I played a series of poker games. Of the first 3 I won 2, but thereafter it was a sorry state of affairs. I think second was the best I got after those first 3. Which means obviously I didn't win the first 2, I won the 1, failed 1, failed proceedingly. Perhaps my pokerings are seasonally based. My brother had a gammy rib and had to have an operation on it in order to live past the age of 35. But his gammy rib was slightly different from mine in that his sternum went in like this. Called pectus excavatum. I don't have that problem so much as just a bunch of ribs down here that like to sort of encroach on my organs for no discernible reason. If you have this same thing, you should go get that checked out and then see what they say and let me know. It might well be that I continue to ignore the fact and just assume it's NP, and that, when I feel it grinding on shit, just ignore that. Yeah, do it. Thanks. This is a difficult one because I'm fairly ambivalent to both of those people, and the question doesn't actually say I have to shoot one or the other, but I'll take that it does. I don't really understand the popularity of either of these people. I think because they're quite English and deemed as clever. It's suppose that's reason enough in this day and age. I would shoot Stephen Fry, because although Richard Dawkins hasn't donated much to the world for me, he has written a popular book about atheism that's probably challenged a few religious people to rethink their beliefs, and that's worth something. Well, obviously my views are very important to me, and as such I'll have a new video up within the next 7 days. Just wait and see, it'll be there. But Randy Taylor was a weed, is a weed, was a weed, is a weed, will be a weed, will die a weed. And fucking PJ. Oh, I played paintball and now I can't see. What a fucking idiot. What does this even mean? Does it mean, like, in the time I've been making videos you think my face has changed, or do you think I just have a general look of somebody who's had plastic surgery? Totally confusing. I've never had plastic surgery, believe it or not. Don't have that kind of money, for one thing. When I stand near someone, it's usually because the tube is so crammed that I had no option other than to be pressed, sort of rather impolitely, into somebody's armpit or whatever. So there's not usually a lot of choice involved in that, and I can't really regret it, apart from thinking, oh, I could have got another carriage, but really they're all equally stuffed, and I would be standing in somebody's armpit regardless. So people I regret sitting next to exist, and usually they are eating food. One guy in particular who strikes me as the worst person in the world was eating sausage roll after sausage roll out of a plastic Tupperware box that he kept opening, getting one sausage roll out, eating noisily, then putting it all back, like, no, I'm not having another one. But he kept having another one, and that never stopped, and I actually got out and went and sat somewhere else. The problem with cool kids is that they're douches, almost uniformly fucking douches, and I don't have time for that. I actually intend to play diplomacy with 3 males, one of whom is my boyfriend, so get at him. I don't think I'm going to be very good at this game. I played Neptune's Pride, which is about you have a flight of ships. It's an online web browser game. I recommend trying it out. You have a bunch of ships, and you fly from planet to planet, star to star, planet to planet, and you attempt, well, what you do, you go and fly to the star, and you take it, and then you build your armies slowly. Usually I build them too fast, because I'm like, shit, gotta have a fleet, when no, you should really be upgrading your economy and other surpluses. This is going dreadfully. I would usually stop and record it again, but instead I'm just going to say it and then possibly delete it soon, because I look like a raving spaz. Yeah. So in this game, I played it in the usual manner, which I play games. You know, okay, I'm gonna go take this, take this, battle this dude, cool. Oh, I'm wiped out. Every time I was wiped out, it became apparent very quickly that what you absolutely must do in this game to survive is talk to the other people, make deals with them, bargain with them, work it out for a little while, and then just fuck them over. Carry on. This is what diplomacy is. But, I'm not so good at the old interfacing option. I quite like the just brute force approach, and that didn't work well in that game. I don't think it's going to work well in this game. I think I will be sunk, but I'll report back at a later juncture when I have played the game. I guess that doesn't work, does it? No. Age just sort of tends to melt together when you get on a bit. Yeah, I guess I was 21 or something. You can see me in the pictures with blue hair at the front if you care enough. Invaderzim's okay. It's alright. It's a TV show that's kind of funny sometimes. There's no real adoration going on in Invaderzim's direction. Can't talk. Good time to approach this website / be alive. I got up and here I am. My beliefs actually revolve around the stupidity of humankind at large, and you're validating my beliefs, so thanks very much for that. I don't think you're really missing out on much, but there's a lot of questions now. I say questions like questions. I notice it every time. Pictures is just an automatic thing. Oh man. No, I should at least finish saying something. I think if you could see them though, it would be an entirely different website. It would be more of a message board kind of thing. Comments. Shall I stop doing this now because it's going all the way down a very long hill? Do comedy classes exist? I mean, I guess they do, but I feel like they'd strip anyone of any comedy they had. Whenever you have a group of people deciding what's funny and what's not, you generally end up with something that's homogenized shit, and it's not a good thing, so I think I'll avoid that and just maybe do it one day. I'm feeling buck wild. What do atheists smell like? I'm actually genuinely interested in your response to this, and as this website enables conversations, and you're pretty much obliged to tell me. How militant am I? Militant in what sense? Do I go around beating up religious people? No. Do I get into arguments with them? Yes. Does it feel like a waste of time? Yes. I don't give much weight to let's have respect for everyone, and it's their faith, and you shouldn't mess with that. I don't think that's correct. So I will attempt to encourage everybody with an irrational faith to question said irrational faith if possible. But you are then aligning yourself with a bunch of people who are really annoying. I don't love Richard Dawkins. In fact, I think he's annoying. It's a tough road. It's a tough and rocky road. It's not really. It's a neutral road that tries to encourage neutrality and rationalism. Stop talking. Alright. I think I said everything I wanted to say. If I even had anything I wanted to say. I said it, regardless. Are you the same person who's been asking me if I like Radiohead once per day for the past 11 days? There's a lot of it going around, and I've seen it around the place as well. There's this Radiohead fetishists. Or just one person, one interested person who just fucking loves Radiohead. Questions for your questions. Radiohead are okay. When I was about 15, 16, I fucking loved the Bends. I still really like the Bends, and I still quite like various Radioheadities. Their new album is a bit weird. Basically, yes. There's this air of superiority about physics and physicists. Lecturers, during lectures, will just casually downtread any of the other sciences, just, without even thinking about it. The mere mention of chemists gives rise to a whole series of sort of jibes from any given lecturer. It's the same thing, and it's quite difficult not to find hilarious. And I'm buying into it just because it makes me feel good. Okay, chemists and biologists are probably more useful to the human race than physicists. They make things and discover things and realize things that mean we get to live longer, like considerably longer, and that's really useful to physicists and humans at large. So in that regard, they're pretty good. I'm glad they exist. But on a more personal level, biology I don't have much of an interest in. Guts and organs and shit. No, thanks. I like neurobiology, as I keep saying, it feels like. Chemistry, they sort of talk about things in the same way physicists do, to some extent, but they sort of dumb it down a fair whack. So how much more can I say about this without it becoming inflammatory? Probably not a lot. How are they relative to physics? Don't really know how to answer that question. Hope I accidentally did.
I'm afraid I don't actually use foundation. I mean, in the summer I feel like it because I have freckles and they make me look like a filthy peasant. But I haven't done yet. So I'm absolutely no use whatsoever. Sorry.
Don't get me wrong on this. I'm not one of the people who will stick absolutely to DDoS 2 in any sort of, in an actual game where, you know, you play and then you die and you wait for the next round. I like to play all the maps, most of the maps in that situation. I don't like just playing DDoS 2 over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, like a lot of people do. But I spent quite a lot of time on deathmatch servers that are DDoS 2 just constantly, and it gets me into a very nice state of mind that is probably unhealthy, but I just know everywhere on that map, and it's fucking perfect for that setup, and I really like deathmatch, even though I'm slightly ashamed of it, just because it seems like Tardo Counter-Strike or Counter-Strike, but I do it and I love it. I'm really enjoying gun game lately, which is another example, I feel, of retardo Counter-Strike. But I don't know. When a new Counter-Strike game comes out, I promise I'll play it properly. I promise. I don't really like DDoS though. Like the original DDoS, I think it's a little, I don't know. I played it so much, getting flashbang down that stupid, when you go left and there's the thing. And then if you go the other way, which I liked doing with my AK-47, you get sniped. And that's just super good with the AK-47, so I always wanted to go that way, because sometimes you can knock them off and feel fucking amazing. But I never felt, I don't know, it doesn't do well for me. I'm sort of slightly rash. And that map is very much, it pays to not ever do anything risky, and I'm not such a fan of those kind of maps. I think my annoyingness is basically, it revolves around what I talked about on here before, which is that first of all, I can seem like I'm really angry when I'm not, but also I can take things very seriously when they're not supposed to be serious. And it can escalate situations to untowardness just because I'm unnecessarily bullshit about it. What else? I know it's difficult for me to say because I'm around me all the time and used to everything. I'm just trying to think of things other people have said. So yeah, I think those are the main things that make me annoying. I try very hard not to have any of the small habits that I find annoying in other people, just because I'm so like intolerant of it. I'm really aware of it when I do it. Although the bouncing leg thing I do a lot, that's probably annoying. But as soon as anybody tells me to stop it, I will stop it, just because I can feel, even if they're not particularly angry, I can feel my own anger at somebody else annoying me in that instant, so I will stop it. Yeah, I think that's the best I can give you, but someone else can probably tell you many more things. This keeps pausing in the most inopportune moments, and it makes me look like a retard when I blink, because it pauses just as I go down to blink and my eyes go whoop. So I'm not blinking in this response. Please no god fuck dry. Arid landscape of eyeball. I don't remember ever saying I don't shower, but maybe I did. I just don't remember. I do shower. I shower bi-daily. I have acquired unlimited monetary funds with which to pursue whatever personal endeavours I so desire. For 1 week? Good grief. How did that happen? Well, I guess I'll be off to spend a shitload of money and pursue the endeavours that I so desire. Pleasure talking. Well, do let me know at which point over the past 5 years I've changed. I actually had little to no strife with that particular assignment. The most recent one was the Zeeman effect. The previous one was the Hall effect. His graphs were great. I obviously go to a much classier establishment because, check it out. Logarithmic curve, that is just beautiful, isn't it? Is it not? Look, a little bit of whack, but generally speaking, and then against the logarithmic scale, I just like to look at it sometimes. That classy. I even went on to determine the carry concentration and mobility alongside the band gap. But the Bohr magneton, let's not even think about that. South Park. I really like The Simpsons. I like old Simpsons, so I don't like new Simpsons. I feel like it went to shit and they didn't care. I don't know, like, just went wacky as fuck. I understand that they had no storylines left, basically, because they've done everything in the world, but it's still, like, they could have stopped making it instead of just... But South Park I feel like it's had integrity throughout. Even when it's not funny, I don't hate it, and although the previous season wasn't hilarious, the final episode of that section series, I assume, was very good, and like just makes you believe in the show and in the people who are behind the show. It feels very genuine. Futurama, I do like. I have a fondness for. Well, I like it. I don't love it. It's quite funny. I quite like it. It's alright. And SpongeBob, it had its time for me. Like, I went to when I first saw it on TV, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It has touches of Ren and Stimpy, which are always welcome, but not enough. And meh, it's had its day, I think. So South Park. I agree with you. These hands are fuck weird. Some people seem unfazed by them. I try and get across. I try with various amount of tools at my disposal, just contortioning them, making them weird, measuring them against their own hand. But just some people fail to... I think maybe they're just being incredibly polite, and that's something I don't understand on any level. And as such, I'm just continuing to try and prove it to them that I've got weird fucking hands, and they're just politely, no, Rose, they're fine. They're not fine, they're weird as fuck. Although Ripley's Believe It or Not sort of offends me on every level. All I know about it, I think I've seen it on TV, but what stands out to me most is their museum in Piccadilly Circus, and I walk in there and it's just an assault of obnoxious bulbosity, and it just disgusts me on every level. So I won't be donating my hands to those people. The Horniman Museum will no doubt have a space probably already set up from the first time they saw me walk in, so it can be dealt with in that way. I know! I noticed that someone asked me how I cut my fringe before. It might have been you. But I was going to wait until I was going to cut it to show you, but fuck it doesn't seem to be happening. Basically, I get the scissors and I get bits of my hair, and I do this with the scissors, sort of cut slowly and go upwards like this. So it sort of grinds along it and cuts it off at uneven angles, and just go along doing that with scissors along like this. So it's all sort of kind of a similar length, but it doesn't really matter because it's going to the side anyway, so you can't actually tell either way. Yeah, that's my technical tips for you. I'm a little bit torn on this one. I feel like writers exist and existed, you know, not in a small capacity before there was such a massive amount of undergrads and whatever studying English. It's one of those things where it's not a necessity, it's not a prerequisite to writing a book. So I love books, I like reading. If it means that more books are written and they are good, then good, I'm glad about that, and it's obviously something worth investing in. For me, I feel like it's quite an indulgent degree to pick because it's like fun. But that's just the way I feel because of what I've chosen to do. I mean, you know, nothing can stay fun really when you're studying it. It kind of ruins it a little bit. So I don't know. Because I've picked such a sort of hard degree that is actually really applicable and useful in life, it means I've developed a bit of a hardline approach to like art subjects, which I feel you don't really need. And it's kind of weird to pay so much money to do that when you don't necessarily gain. I'm sure you gain things, but at the same time you can do a lot of that stuff without being told how, and that has a lot of value to it on its own as an untaught sort of autodidactic thing. So I'm torn. I don't know how to answer the question. It's happening a lot. It's a bit shit, isn't it? I studied psychology briefly and was kind of dismayed at the whole thing. On the level I was on, it was all about remembering things. Essentially. That seemed to be what a lot of the psychology learning curve involved, just memory tests. I don't know, maybe that changes. But psychology for me is one of the lesser sciences. But bear in mind, I do consider every science that isn't physics lesser, because that's the kind of person I am. But yeah, psychology, unless I like the sort of literal hands-on application of psychology, like, get the fingers in the brain and do shit and see what happens. I like the neurobiological side of psychology a lot. But not so much into the rest of it. Sure, it's a science, kinda, but not very convincing, and I think quite open to bias. Sorry. Yes, but I feel that if you do any sort of arduous task for a long time towards a certain goal, it will probably help you, regardless of what that thing is. It's just that a degree is recognised by employers and they see that you've done it from that fact. I'm sure it does help everyone, or most people, but at the same time I'm sure it doesn't help a lot. I'm just getting flooded with these questions now after saying what I said. I like art. Shit, yeah, art. Cool. I'm not, an absolute Philistine. I just see that it can happen and be around without the need for a degree. The same can be said of anything. The same could be said of physics, obviously. It's just that very much you take a lot of steps in a short period of time that you can then leap off of, whereas with art I feel like it's not necessarily particularly helpful for you as a creative individual to be told this is how this person did it and this is how this person did it about a lot of different people. I think maybe that hinders something. But what the fuck do I know, huh? I'm just this science bitch. Somebody called me that in this topic. There's this American guy I know. Every time I see him, this topic comes up, as it seems to have now happened on this website. The last time I saw him, he said, "Hey, it's you, science bitch." And that was his opening, and also our closing. I try to ignore him, but he just keeps coming back. He keeps coming back from every party. I had to go through quite a few pages to find this question. I didn't want to just send it to myself, and I could have made it better as well and actually had it be a question and not just a statement. Anyway, the point is, I'm now doing this, so you can go to youtube.com/roseplaysgames and watch me play games. Pouring it out all fucking day. It's over now though, it's over. It's hoard everywhere. I'm done. Thank fuck. At some point, every single wacky question began to involve the apocalypse. For why? For why? Do you care? Zombies, mimes, robots, and kittens. I suppose you just hoped that I'd say something interesting. But I'm sorry, buddy, it's not gonna happen.